Hi, I'm Tyler, and welcome to another episode of my Christian Music Week reviews. Each week I take 5 releases, albums, EPs, or singles, and after having listened to them all week, I come back here and I review them. I share what I think about them. So without further ado, let's get to this week's first release, Influence Music's new mixtape, Live at Church, Volume 2. Influence Music's new mixtape, Live at Church, Volume 2. And yes, it's the sequel to Volume 1. Let's talk. By the way, I reviewed Volume 1 on this channel as well. Let's talk about it. So, sound-wise here, we have electric guitar, bass guitar, drum, piano, and on the last 2 tracks, we have some acoustic guitar in there. And as for the lyrics here, touches on a few different themes. Talks about speaking God's victory over whatever we face. Also talks about asking God's Spirit to fall afresh on us and let His love overflow through us. And also talks about how God wanted us to come to Him so much, wants us to come to Him so much, that He gave His Son Jesus' blood for us. Up next, Propaganda's new single featuring DJ Mousky, We Are the Culture. Propaganda's new single featuring DJ Mousky, We Are the Culture. Let's talk about it. So stylistically here we have piano, we have drum, rapping, propaganda, right? And then we have a sample of a children's choir and a little auto-tuned singing. And as for the lyrics here, kind of a neat concept for this track here. Talks about how the culture that we grow up in makes us who we are. We are the culture, right? And also, propaganda shouts out all the different kinds of people in different situations in our cities. And also talks about how God planned this, planned it to be this way. Planned our unique situations in our cultures and cities the way that they are. Up next, Brandon Lake's new EP, Almond Eyes. Brandon Lake's new EP, Almond Eyes, which is in celebration of his and his wife's 10th anniversary. Let's talk about it. So, sound-wise here, we have piano, we have synth, some synth and violin, I would say. Though not in the whole thing, but we have definitely as dominant, though, piano, bass, drum, guitar, acoustic, electric, and bass, kind of balanced out throughout the EP. And as for the lyrics here, touches on a few different things. Talks about how beautiful his wife's eyes are, and also talks about how he wants time to slow down so he can spend time loving her. Also talks about all the time that he can loving her. And also talks about how his wife is patient with as his stubborn self learns. And also talks about how he doesn't need glamour to love her. Up next, Apollo LTD's new album, Nothing is Ordinary, Everything is Beautiful. Apollo LTD's new album, Nothing is Ordinary, Everything is Beautiful. Let's talk about it. So overall, pretty feel-good sound here, I would say. Kind of a pop alternative, and sometimes straight up pop. But overall, pop alternative. Um, Maybe a hint of pop rock influence here and there, too. Um, but overall, pop alternative pop, I would say, is what dominates this record. And as for the... Oh, by the way, let's dive into what instruments kind of influence this sound here. So, by and large, bass guitar, synth, piano, drum, bass. And we have some acoustic guitar and even a little bit of electric as well. And then we have some violin on a couple tracks at least, too. And as for the lyrics here, pretty feel-good lyrics here, too. So, but great lyrics, too. Talks about how in the pain and the waiting, we don't have to rush to get to the next moment. We can rest in the now, in the fact that God is working all things out. We can feel good about that. Also talks about how God has woken us up from who we were, and also talks about how he has a limitless love for us. We don't have to impress him or hide anything from him. Up next, our last release for today, Judah's new EP, 7. Judah's new EP, debut EP, I should say, 7. Let's talk about it. So, sound-wise here, piano, acoustic guitar, and drums seem to rule the day here. But there is some electric guitar, there's some bass guitar, there's some synth, and violin here as well, and some bass as well. And as for the lyrics here, great lyrics here that this EP chooses to touch on. Talks about how nothing can separate us from God's love. It's already been earned in full, paid for in full through what Jesus has done on. It's already given to us because of what Jesus accomplished in full on the cross. Also talks about how God is with us and able to do above all we can ask or think. So good lyrics here. Come back next week for 5 more releases. If you like what you saw in this video, please subscribe and turn on those notifications. I release videos every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. Also, if you have any thoughts on what I said about today's releases or anything that came out today that you want me to review in next week's video, let me know that in the comments below, please. And also, check out my Music Muffin Streams playlist on Spotify and here on YouTube. You can find that in the playlist section on my channel. My most streamed tracks each month. So, just wanted to let you know about that. Well, I'll go now. See you next week. Bye!